Well, to bring it back to your dad, right? I know he was one of the biggest influences on you, him being super supportive in those early days, recording
Right.
those college rap shows and everything. Without that man, we may not have you here today
Correct.
talking. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah.
You paid homage to him in 2018 on Obi-Wan and in 2021 on the song Where the River Meets the Sea. I can tell when you talk about your dad, like how much that he meant to you. Just the things that you paid homage to him in those songs were just like so beautiful. You know, can you talk about what you learned from him as far as being a father and what you carry on for your kids today?
I think what I learned from my dad is just to try to be as good of a person as you can. And my father was the type, he would, if he saw somebody with a flat tire and it was pouring rain, he's pulling over. He's putting himself in danger to pull over and try to help somebody. If he has a friend, if my dad had a friend and my dad only had $500 left to his name and his friend needed to borrow $350, my dad would drive 100 miles to go bring it to that person, give them that money and help them like move furniture too. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad was that fucking guy. And, you know, he learned from his father, who, you know, was a great human being too. My father never knew his biological father, his actual DNA father, but the man who raised him since he was a baby, and my dad didn't know that until he was 18 years old, was my grandfather, my Pepe, which is a French word. He was a fantastic, amazing guy, man. My Pepe was fucking dope and just was famous for helping people out and doing really good shit. And so my dad had that. My uncles had that. His brothers, you know, they were very close. If it wasn't for them, I would be a fucking horrible human being. Like if it wasn't for them, I would have had no moral compass. They instilled a lot of that in me. And my dad was, it was tough because I adopted a lot of his bad habits too, right? My dad had me when he was 18 years old. Even though he was loving and he was great, he was a hothead and he was emotionally dysregulated and he would react out of anger. He never beat my ass. He never fucked me up. But it was very intimidating. He was good at being intimidating. And I find that I do the same things by default to my kids sometimes. The difference is I apologize to them and I validate their feelings because I think they deserve that. I don't make my kids pussy or anything, but I also tell them, hey, the way I just yelled at you was not fair and it wasn't okay, you know? So I'll let them say they forgive me, but I don't let them say it's okay. And I think that I've told them too, they benefit from all the bullshit that me and my ex-wife have gone through. And I broke down, I took out a piece of paper and I drew on the piece of paper. I said, see this box? This represents your grandma, okay? And she had a really tough life, the way she was raised, okay? This box right here represents Mimi, your grandma, okay? She had a tough life, but a little less than grandma, okay? I had a little bit less of a tough life than Mimi. Now here's your box. You guys have a much better life than I had or Mimi had or my grandma had. So I broke down for them, you know, that they definitely benefit from a lot of the bullshit that I went through. But my father, I'll tell you, I get feelings sometimes that I get really pissed off at him. That's one of the toughest things that I had to emotionally wrestle with, that I would get angry at my father because he didn't take better care of himself and he wasn't there for me and my kids. And there was a whole bunch of times where I get fucking furious when people would go, yeah, but he's always with you. He's always here. He's everywhere. Like, get fucked, man. I'm talking about, I need my dad sometimes. I need my dad to talk to. I need him here in the fucking 3 dimensions in real life. I don't want to hear about how he's floating in the fucking ether. And, you know, that's what Obi-Wan was about, you know? And that kind of thinking kind of pisses me off. It's true too, you know, he is me. Like I'm him, you know?
Right, but nobody wants to hear that shit, really.
Not when it's like, yo, I miss my dad. I need him.
Right, exactly.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, it's a crazy emotion to wrestle with when you say, I'm pissed off that he didn't take better care. I'm pissed off that you're not here, that you didn't meet my kids ever. You know, that's a deep one to grapple with.
I feel like, with him dying, you had to watch him die at such a deteriorating kind of way,
Yeah.
right? And that was much more painful than losing him. Because like your image, your memory of him starts to change, right? Like, when you think of your parent, usually you want to they're your superhero, right? Like,
Superhero, right.
you remember them being strong and like
Yep.
and everything, and it's hard to see them to be less than what they were. And for him, I'm sure it was hard for him to deal with being less than what he was before, especially as a man. That's really tough for us to deal with, man. And just the way that you described that, when you were dealing with your own health issues at the time and dealing with the music problems with Get Busy Committee, and then he would call you and he would say those certain things. Like, I just can't imagine what that was like for you in that time period.
Yeah, it was psychological torture, man. It really was. It really fucked with me. And you know, it's so funny that I got to go in a minute, by the way, because
Yeah.
I got this other shit popping. But I'll say this: I used to tell him a lot way before his cancer diagnosis, or long before it, 10 years before it. I used to bust his balls about smoking, and I'd say, "Yo, you need to fucking stop smoking, man. You're gonna get cancer. You're gonna fucking die from this." And he'd be like, "Well, what do I want to do? Live for forever? So I'm an old person, pissing and shitting myself and can't remember my name, and I'm to wither away." And that's what ended up happening to him anyway. Just a lot fucking younger. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still lived through the idea that he hated just a lot. It's like the cancer didn't take him out fast. It took like 6, 7 years. It was fucking humiliating, and it's just, there's no dignity in cancer. It fucking whittles you away to nothing. And God, I used to get mad at that too.
The treatments are
There
terrible too.
Yeah, the treatments were gnarly. He hated it. He just felt like he was like in a meat factory, and he was, getting pumped through all this shit, and they shuffle you in, shuffle you out, and it's just he couldn't stand it. The chemo, everything like that, it really fucked him up, and it was a really crazy time.
For sure, man. Well, rest in peace to your dad, bro.